Welcome to the AI Go Learning Hackathon Workshop for Java. My name is Austin, and today I'm basically going to give a basic rundown with Java for those who either have not used it before or kind of want some more practice or a better understanding. Um, so the topics we're going to go over is what IDEs or integrated development environment you should use for Java, the data types, the variables, the conditionals, the repetition statements, and how to print input and output. Although if we do have time, I could probably go over a couple more of the more advanced topics of Java. So before we get started, does anyone have any questions? Um, okay, it doesn't seem like we got any questions. The first thing we want to do is what is Java? Java is a programming language that was made in the mid-90s by Oak Ridge. It is very similar to C Sharp and C++. Generally, the rule of thumb is actually 80% the same as C Sharp. It's just the syntax are pretty different. But the main function with Java is that it has a high prioritization in regards to object-oriented programming, which is basically when you make a class that is meant to represent elements of the real world using classes and classes and attributes, I mean. As of today, it is currently being ran on over 30 billion devices across the world. Oh, okay. So when you want to use Java, the best IDEs you should use, which if you don't know is basically what we use to make software. Um, what we want to use, here are some of the best ones. So the first one is IntelliJ, which is what I will personally be using throughout the session. Then we have NetBeans, then we have Eclipse, and then we have Leftwood. But there's also seven more. But these are kind of like the major ones. But for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to use IntelliJ. Um, so in Java, there are 8 primitive data types. Um, and there's also a complex type that I will be using throughout the session. So the first 4 data types, primitive data types, are integer types. And from smallest to largest, they are byte, short, int, long. Then we have 2 decimal type, which are double and float. Then we have a boolean, which is basically true or false. And then we have a character, which is any number, letter, or character that you can put inside of a single quotation. And I kind of put some examples here, but I'll show some examples here in a minute with the in my code. So we got 5BS. And the reason why we have a data type is because in Java, we use data type to differently to help us define variables and tell us what type of values a particular variable should and should not have. Um, and for the complex type, I'll also be going over something called string, which is basically like a group of characters, which we can put in a double quotation. Um, just just to showcase that in the code. Um, so scrolling up here. So I got some examples. So byte, uh, you can see it's pretty short. And then we have short example, which is a little bigger, but not too much. And then we have integer example, which is pretty decently big. And then we have long, which is very big and also has a little L at the beginning. Then we have double and float, and double is much bigger than a float. But it's just if I put in a bunch of numbers, it'll probably take me a while before I hit the limit. So I just kept it short for simple. But another difference with float is that it actually has a little F at the end. And going back to the integers, if I put in a value, I'll get an error because it basically says that's too big for that data type. Now, the most common used one that you'll likely use throughout your coding journey is integer type. To be honest, I don't think I've ever used the other three integer values before. Full and double you'll probably use frequently, although I think double you use a bit more. And then we have Boolean type, which as you can see is just simply a true or false statement. And then we have character, and you can see we can put in either it can be either a letter, a number, or a symbol. Um, Usually it can only be one instead of single quotation. As you can see, if we put in another one, there's an error. And if I do the same thing with the number, I get another error as well. And if I do the same thing with the symbol, I get another error. And the last data type, which is also the only complex type for this meaning, is string, which I like to think of as a group of characters. Um, this is basically what we use if we want to use words and sentences and stuff like that. There's more data type. There's more complex type, but for the meeting, I decided to just use the basic one because string is probably one of the more common ones you'll use. Although there is other complex types such as arrays and objects. I might go over arrays if there's time at the end. So, okay. Any questions so far?
Hey, good evening. I would just like to ask about the IDE because so
Yeah. Hello?
better than VS Code or the VS Code doesn't support Java or something. Thank you.
Which ones doesn't support Java?
The VS Code because I have seen in your recommendation that you did not put VS Code, and I think I've heard them say that like VS Code is like a universal, uh what do you call that editor? Doesn't uh VS Code support Java, so that it will, so you did not put
Um,
it in your
you said DS code?
VS Code Visual Studio Code.
I think it probably does. There's a lot more that support Java. I only just put in a couple just because I didn't want to like put too many. I wanted to use like the more common ones, you know?
Oh, okay, but then they are like better than VS Code, or like they support more of the features of VS of I mean your recommendations like support better Java or than VS Code, something like that.
Um, to be honest, I have not used DS code.
I
Oh,
think
okay, okay.
I think I've used VS Code and you should be good running Java on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
no problem, no problem. Okay, any questions regarding the data types? Why we might need it or any confusion among any of them? Okay.
Not for me.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna go over is a variable. So you kind of probably already saw this a little bit of this uh in the code I showed, but in Java, when we want to assign a value, or well, a variable is a piece of data that has a value assigned to it. And the way you would set it up is you would do the data type followed by whatever name you want to give it. You can name it anything, but don't give it like a name that is like uh it's like a name of a data type, you know, because there's like a certain there's a list of particular words that you cannot use to name variables. And it's usually like lists that like commands and stuff like that. And then you set it equal to any value that matches the data type. So you can see some example at the bottom. We have int num equals 5, double dub equals 2.5. Excuse me. Boolean true or false equals true, character C, or character equals C in a single quotation, and string words equals hello. So just kind of go back to the code. You can see we have byte and we name it by example, and we have equal to 1, 2, 4. Then we have short examples, and we have equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have int example equals this integer. Then we have long example equals to this value. Then we have double example equals this big decimal. Then we have float example equals to this value. Then we have the two boolean that are equal to true and equal to false. And then we have three character, which is we have set equal to a letter, a number, and a character. And then we have a string, which is equal to a group of characters. Any questions? Do we understand how we would need to set up a variable? Okay, seems like we're all good. Let me just pull it back up. So next thing we're going to go over is conditional. So what do we think a conditional might be? What do we think a conditional might be before we go over them? You say true or false? Kind of. You're on the right track. Actually, I'll give it to you. That's basically what it is. But to kind of go more specific in it, in Java, a conditional is used if we only want a particular a certain part of the program to run if a condition is met. The first one we'll go over. Now, there's generally three main conditionals, which are if else, and else if. The first one I'll go over is if statements. This one is very simple. The way you set it up is as follows, and I'm going to show that in the code. To set up, we could do something like if int example is divisible by 2. Okay. Modulus 2 is equal to 0. Then we can do system.out.println. The int is even. And to showcase another example, we can do if give me a number, give me a random number that's even. Ten, okay. Yeah, we can do 10. I'm gonna do okay, so we're gonna do 10 modulus 2. We know what modulus means, right? No. Do we know what modulus mean?
Pardon, what is margin?
Modulus, like when I say 10 modulus 2.
Is it like a divided by? Uh,
Yeah, kind, but what is it? What's the difference between that and the normal divide?
I have no idea, sir.
So modulus checks the remainder. It will return the remainder. So just to kind of put an example, 15 divided by 2 would be equal to 7, but 15 modulus 2 would be equal to 1 because that's the remainder. Does that kind of make a little bit more sense now?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to
Thank
run the
you.
code, just showcase the difference between these two. Um, I think it's at the bottom. I think it already ran. So as you can see with here, it prints out 10 is even, but it didn't print out this statement, the int is even. And that is because the int example is not even. It ends in a 1. Therefore, it's not even. So that's why uh, this printed out, or this did not print out, but this did. Because this condition was not true, but this condition was. And generally, how you would want to set up the if statement is you would do if, and then you would do a set of parentheses, and then whatever you want the condition to be in between those. And then uh, whatever you want the code to do if that condition was true, you would put in between the brackets. Does that make sense?
Yep, yep.
Okay, great, great, great. That's what I like to hear. Um, so as you can see, I also put it down here. You do if, then parentheses, then your condition, then you put your square brackets, and then what you want the code to do if that's true. Now, the second one we're going to do is very similar, but there is one key difference. So the next thing we're going to do is the if else. So this is very simple. So you would set up normally like your if statement. However, instead of just leaving it like this, after that bracket, you're going to do else, and then you're going to make another set of brackets, and then you're going to put in another set of code. So I did put in a flow chart to kind of explain this better. So we have the condition, and if it's true, it will execute the code in the if block. However, if it's false, it will instead execute the code in the else block. So either way, a code will run regardless of the output. So going back to my example, let's say I want to modify this one. So I could do else system dot out dot print line the int is odd, and therefore this should print out that it is indeed odd. So I'm going to stop all. Okay, now I'm going to run this one. So as you can see going up is that it did print out the int is odd. Because this integer example, again, going back up to here, is indeed odd. So it'll go through and check to see if it's even. If dividing by 2 will give us 0 as a remainder, it does not, so it will not print this. Instead, it'll print out this other option. The int is odd. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, sir.
That's good. That's good. That's what I like to hear. So again, just to kind of showcase how you do it, you're basically set up normally like it's an if statement, and then you're going to put else, another set of brackets, and then whatever you want to run in that port in there. So the last conditional we're going to go over uh is else if. So this one is very similar to the last two, but the main difference is we can actually set up more than 2 conditions. So as you can kind of see here, and again, I don't know, I accidentally grabbed like Spanish code when I was making this. So basically we have A equals input, A equals int A, and then we have if A is less than 15, it'll do what's over here. Else if A is less than 30, it'll do what's over here. Else if A is less than 50, it'll do what's here. Else if A is less than 80, it'll here. Else it'll basically do print out this area. So just to kind of showcase it, give me a random number, another random number.
35.
35. I like this. I like that. 35 is a nice number. That's the age you can be if you want to run for president. So what we could do is we could do let's see, what do I want to put it? We can do if 35 is modulus 2 is equal to 2 or 0, we could say system dot out dot print line 35 is divisible by 2. Oh, where is it? Else if 35 modulus 3 is equal to 0, we could do system dot out dot print line 35 is divisible by 3. If 35 is divisible by 5, oh, use the wrong symbol, is divisible by 5, or modulus 5 is equal to 0, we're going to do system dot out dot print line 35 is divisible by 5, else system dot out dot print line 35 is a prime number. Which one of these statements do you think it should print out?
Pardon, sir?
What'd you say?
Pardon? What did you say earlier?
Oh, I said which one of these if statements should be printed out?
I guess it should be the 35.
But
The
which
35 is divided by 5.
yeah. So just to confirm, we're gonna go ahead and run it. Did it do it? I don't think it did. Okay. Let me just confirm. So as you can see it did print out 35 is divisible by 5. So any questions here? Do we understand if statements? But do you think we're good here? Any questions about any of the conditionals?
Uh, None so far, sir.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, so okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue. So we're gonna go down to repetition. Okay, so a repetition, unlike the conditionals, but they are similar to the conditional, where they do run if a certain condition is true. However, the main difference is, unlike a conditional, which only runs once, a repetition will run multiple times. So just kind of demonstrate that. So the first two we're going to look at, and I'm kind of lumping them together because they're very similar, are going to be a while loop and a do while loop. and they're very simple. And I'll kind of show that in code. So just to kind of showcase an example. So let's do trying to think. Let's do wow. First I'm gonna make a value. I'm gonna do x b equals 0. And I'm gonna do well, oh, why do I have an error? Okay. Let's say b is less than 4. I'm gonna do system dot out dot point line b is, and I'm gonna make it plus b, and then I'm gonna add bb onto it. Oh, don't forget your semicolon. Is it 1? Oh, no, hold on. So as you can see, going up here, it did point out b is 0, b is 1, b is 2, b is 3. But once b got to 4, then it stopped because that condition is no longer true. Therefore, this while loop will stop running. Now, a do while is very similar. But the only difference is that unlike a while loop, which will check the condition first and then run the code, it will actually run the code at least once and then check the condition. So we're going to go ahead and run it again, although we should get generally the same output. So going up here, we did get b is 0, b is 1, b is 2, b is 3. But again, once it got to 4, actually I'm gonna do a better example. I'm gonna flip these two around. And just kind of showcase the example, even though uh, the condition was b has to be less than 4, it was able to run it at least once before and have b is 4 before it checks the condition. And again, that's because it does run the code before it checks the condition, even if the code may not be, even if the condition may not be true while it's running the code. Any questions here?
I would just like to question about like the syntax. I guess it's kind of cryptic to me, like B plus plus, something like that, sir.
You said D plus plus?
B plus plus, the like the that one. B plus plus then semicolon.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a cryptic to me. I don't understand kind of what it does to the syntax.
B
To
plus
the
plus will add 1 onto B.
okay, 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 sir. Thank you.
No problem, no problem. Any questions for this one before we move on to the next one?
So I would just like to like repeat it again what I understand. Like it adds one and then if it's check the variable then it's stopped to where the variable is like that's the designated variable, right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem, no problem. Okay. Any other questions?
Nope, thank you, sir.
No problem, no
That's
problem.
it.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the last repetition. So the last one we have is a for loop. This one is kind of weird, but it's not too bad. So the main difference between a for loop versus a while loop is that when we do a for loop, we generally know how many times the code will run. And a for loop is generally consistent of four major pieces. The first one is the initialization, which is a value that's set up before the for loop starts to run. Then we have the condition, which will check to see if which if true will cause the for loop to run the code inside of it. And then we have the increment, which will modify the value, the initialization value. I know all that kind of sounds a little weird, but just kind of showcase a better example of it. I'm gonna do give me a random number, hopefully one that isn't particularly super big.
557.
A little bit smaller.
98.
Uh maybe under 10.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Let's
No, it's okay.
do 7. 7,
7. I
7.
can work with 7. So to do this, we're gonna first set up the initialization value. We're gonna say int x is equal to 0. Then we're gonna have it say x is less than 7. And then I'm gonna do x plus plus. And then we're gonna just print out. We're gonna have it print out system.out.println x is uh x, which will print out the current value of x. As you can see, going up here, oh, probably should make a little space. So just kind of we show that one. As you can see, it'll print out x is 0, x is 1, x is 2, x is 3, x is 4, x is 5, and x is 6. But as soon as it'll end the code. So any questions about a for loop before I explained it? So basically what happens is when we set up the initialization value, it's made before all of this starts to run. And then we set up the condition, which will be checked before it runs. And then we have the increment value, which will modify the initialization value. So that way, at some point, this condition is no longer true. So let me ask you a question. Why would we want this condition to no longer be true at a certain point?
Pardon, sir?
Why would we want to modify the initialization value such that um this condition is false eventually?
What do you mean by initialization? The x is greater than 7? Is it?
No, this is the condition. This is the initialization.
Oh, because I think it means like x is equal to 0, so if you will like add 1 to it, and then until it becomes 7, then
Mhm.
it will stop, it will it will not print anymore because it's like already false.
Yeah. So basically, you were kind of on the right track. So it's because if this condition was true forever, this code will run forever, and therefore none of the rest of the code would be able to run. And this basically what would happen, it would just keep printing x's, whatever value is, until the code crashes, and we don't want that to happen. So we have to make it at some point. This only runs a finite amount of time. Does that generally make sense?
So, yeah, but is there like a script to make it like infinite so that the code can crash or something?
Yeah. I mean, you could just do. I can just do x is less than is greater than 7. Actually, no, that doesn't work. I'm gonna do -1.
Oh, so that will like have an infinite like amount of
Yep,
response.
and I'm about to show it.
Uh, yep. Definitely not. Thank you. Understand it
No
clearly.
problem. So as you can see, it just keeps going and going and going.
Ooh.
We're already at 1 million, 2 million. It keeps going. 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. I think you generally get the main idea.
Yep, sir.
Okay,
I
I'm just gonna
understand. Thank
stop
you.
that. Just fix it back to normal. And then I'm gonna move on to the last topic I had planned. Okay, so going back to the last topic we had, I'm going to show you how to print output, and I'm going to put in how to take in user input. So in Java, there are two ways you can generally do it. So the two ways are print and print line, which are very similar, but the main difference is that print line will do a line break, while print will not. And that might seem a little weird, but just to kind of show this encoding. So I'm going to show this encoding. So I'm going to do, so just kind of scroll down. So you can see this code right here. So we have system.out.println. Println will jump to the next line, system.out.println, as you can see here. Then we have system.out.print. Print will not jump to the next line. System.out.println, as you can see here. Now that might seem a little weird, but I'm going to show that demonstration in code. So as you can see, system will jump to the next line, as you can see here. So as you can see with print line, it moves it to the next line automatically. But with this one, even though I made two separate print statements, you can see print will not jump to the next line, as you can see here. Print prints it on the same line. Does that generally make sense?
Yes, sir. It's like basically like the slash C in like C language, right?
Yeah. Basically
Yeah.
like that. So the last topic I'm going to go over is scanner. And scanner is what we use to take in users' input. So in Java, we use something called a scanner to keep track of any data the user may input. And if you want to make this, the first thing you should do is and I'm going to show this in the code. The first thing you want to do is you want to put this line before you set up your public class. Input java.util.scanner. After you do that, somewhere in the code, what you want to do is you're going to set up your scanner. You're going to do scanner. You're going to give it a name. I call it a scan just to keep it short and sweet. Is equal to new scanner parentheses. Inside those parentheses, you're going to do system.in, and then you're going to do a semicolon. Are we all good so far?
I think I don't. I kind of get the structure behind it. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now, the next thing you want to do is you're going to do, whenever you want your code to take in user data, you're going to make a variable. Here I did user output, and you're going to set it equal to scan the name of your scanner dot next, whatever the data type is. Here, since user input is an integer, I did user option is equal to scan dot next event. And just to kind of demonstrate this, if I were to type in 1, you can see it takes in that data, and then in this scenario, it compares it. It determines user option is equal to 1, and it prints out the appropriate statement. If we put in 2, it does print out this port. Winter is great because it has snow and Christmas. Put in 3 is going to print out spring is lovely because of the flowers and weather. And if I print out 4, summer is amazing because I get to swim and it's my birthday. And if I put input 5, it will print out have a great day, and it's going to end the code. Because for this while loop, it says the user option is not equal to 5. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think in my understanding it's like the while loop, however, like it has like you can like input a variable in it.
Yeah. So we do have a little bit more time, so I'm actually going to focus on a topic that's a little bit more advanced, but still very useful. And that is arrays. Do we know what an array is?
Eraser,
An array?
like I may have yep, I may have heard it, but I didn't like really delve into it.
Yeah. So basically, an array is what we would use if we want to store a set of. So to set up, you're going to give it a data type. Here I'm going to do int. Actually, I'm going to do string. And then you're going to put brackets next to it. Next, you're going to give it a name. I'm going to give it month. And then you're going to set it equal to new string with the brackets. Although there's actually two ways of doing it. I'm going to show the first way. So here I'm going to do September. Did I set it up right? On October. I'm getting an error. Maybe yeah, I'm supposed to do it like that. Gets let's see, yeah. Here, oh no. Uh hmm, that's odd. I could have sworn it was this. I'm getting an error. Okay, I'm gonna make it int. Okay, so I'm gonna do 5, 7. Am I tripping? Okay, I'm gonna do it the other way. So I'm gonna do 5. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do month bracket 0 is equal to, give me a random number.
Under 10 or over 10?
Uh, any works as long as it's nothing super big.
5. No, 9.
9. Okay. Give me another number.
11.
11. All right. Give me a third number.
Let's go with 13.
13. All right. Another one.
15.
15. And then I'm guessing you want 17.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay. So now another thing I want you to notice is that we actually did 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, even though it starts at 5. Do we know why?
I guess it has to do with a binary system like zeros and one, I guess.
It's because with arrays, the first index is 0 and not 1.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So basically it goes, in this case, even though it's 5, it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is still 5, uh it starts at 0. So now we're going to do month dot length x plus plus, and we're going to do system dot out dot print line month bracket x. This is how you would access it. You could also do a for each loop, which is basically what you do make sure you do this. This is called a for each loop, which isn't too difficult. Oh, what happened? X int x equals 0. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Make sure you have the double dot. What happened? There we go. So now we're going to do system.out.print month x. Now we're going to run the code. Oh, what happened? It says 27. I think it's because. Okay, so I'm going to do int c. Okay. Okay. Whatever. But as you can see with the first one, oh, forgot the arrow on. Yeah, I'm more used to using for loops than for each loops, to be honest. But as you can see with the first for loop, it does print out the elements that we put into the array, which is 9, 11, 13, 15, 17. Any questions about an array?
And so it's just like for loop, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any other questions?
I'm just kind of confused about like the second line, like the 4 in is equal 0 x is
Which
1.
one?
That one, like the for loop, 4 integer x is equal. Yeah, that one.
This one. Okay. So this prints out the elements of the array.
The month, right? I understand it too.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Uh, like the month, right? The 9, 11, 13, 15, and 17. Like it prints out there, and it stops in 5 at 5 because like the 5 is the given number in the
It
integer.
it doesn't go to 5 because the index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
At 6, right? It stops at 6.
No, it stops at 5 or 4 because the length is 5 and it starts at 0. So it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But as soon as it gets to 5, because 5 is not less than the length, which is also 5, that's where it stops.
Yes, I understand the same thing.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. There is actually another way to declare an array. So to do this, and this is where you can specify values. So to do this, we're going to do string, uh, we're going to do month names is equal to And here we're going to do brackets. Then we're going to do July, September. I'm going to do May. Then we're going to do December. Probably misspelled that, but it's okay. So now we're going to do for each. We're going to do string names, month names. We're going to do system dot out dot print line month names brackets names. Okay. Actually, no, I'm tripping. This should be an int. And to apply this, we're going to make a is equal to 0. Just kind of convert it. That's the cool thing with IntelliJ. It actually does give you hints on how to make it better. So you do this, as you can see going up. It does not work. Okay, hold on. What did I do wrong? String. Yeah, okay. You know what? All good. Oh well. Okay, I'm gonna do int x is equal to 0. X is less than month names dot link. I'm not super. I haven't done for each loops enough. That's the issue. It's okay. Then I'm gonna do system dot out dot print line month names is equal to x. So I'm gonna print out again. And as you can see, it prints out July, September, May, and December. Any questions here?
None so far, so
Okay. So, we're almost out of time. Any other questions about any of the stuff?
your explanation was clear, sir, and I guess my question was already answered by you.
Okay. Um, did you learn anything from this? Was this helpful?
Yep, it was definitely refreshing because I guess in the past I have like I learned like Python, C, and I guess their syntax is kind of like similar,
Yeah.
just yeah, something like that. So it definitely helped me refresh something.
Yeah, it's very similar to C Sharp and Python, I would say.
Yep,
Um,
definitely.
anything you're still kind of confused on? Anything you would like to know?
I guess the syntax of like Java is I am not like familiar. I I'm not kind of familiar to it. However, I get the general idea
Okay.
about the Java.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the more you practice with it, the better you get at it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. We're almost out of time. If anyone does not have any other questions, you're free to go. If you want to stick around a little bit, you can.